All right, so today we're going to focus on multiplying radicals. So in order to multiply radicals, first we will multiply coefficients. And remember, a coefficient, that's just the number that's out in front of the radical. Then we will multiply radicands. Remember, a radicand, those are the numbers underneath the radical. And then we will simplify, which is our factor tree method that we looked at yesterday. Okay, there are several different ways that you can do this. You can start out, so number one, I have 2 square roots of 5 times negative 4 square roots of 12. I could simplify both of my radicals, then multiply, or I can multiply first, then simplify. Completely up to you, okay? So if I multiply my coefficient, step number 1, I have 2 times negative 4. Then underneath my radical, I multiply my radicands. I have a 5 times a 12. I know that I'm going to have to do factor tree, right? So the 5 doesn't break down any. The 12, I can break that down to 4 and 3. The 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. So now that I've done factor tree, I'm looking for any partners, okay, or any buddies. I have a pair of 2s. That 5 didn't have a buddy, that 3 didn't have a buddy. This 2 is going to come outside. But I already had outside a 2 and a negative 4. So now I'm going to multiply it with another 2. What got left behind was a 5 and a 3, which are going to get multiplied together. So now, outside, I have 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 2, negative 16. Underneath my radical, 5 times 3, 15. So my answer, negative 16 square roots of 15. All right, so let's do number 2. So I'm going to take the 5 times the 3. So on the outside, I have 5 times 3. Underneath my radical, I'm going to have a 10 times a 12. I'll do factor tree on 10. That's 5 times 2. 12, that's 4 times 3. 4, 2 times 2. Now I'm looking for buddies. I have a pair of 2s. Who does not have a buddy? 3, 2, and 5. The 2 comes outside. I already had a 5 and a 3 outside, so they all get multiplied together. What stays underneath? A 5, a 2, and a 3. So outside, I have 5 times 2 is 10 times 3, 30. Underneath, I also have 30. So 30 square roots of 30 is our answer there. Number 3, negative 6 square roots of 7 times 8 square roots of 4. Hey, wait. I know that the square root of 4 is just 2, right? That's a perfect square. So really, I have negative 6 square roots of 7 times 8 times 2. 7, I can't do factor tree on that, so let's just multiply our coefficients. I have 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times negative 6 is a negative 96, and then I have the square root of 7 left behind. Okay, so watch out. If you recognize a perfect square right off the bat, then you don't have to do your factor tree. So number 4, I have the square root of 25 times 3 square roots of 17. Again, right off the bat, I see the square root of 25, that's really just 5. So really, I have 5 times 3 square roots of 17. I can't do factor tree on 17, so out front, 5 times 3 gets me 15. Square root of 17 left behind. Number 5, I have square root of 6 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 10. Okay? So all underneath the same radical. 6 times 3 times 10. Do factor tree. 6 is a 2 and a 3. 3 I can't break down. 10 is a 2 and a 5. So I have a pair of 3s. I have a pair of 2s. A 5 got the left behind. So outside, I have a 2 and a 3. Left behind is a 5. So out front, 6 square roots of 5 is our answer. Number 6, so out front, I have a 2 times a 2. Underneath, I have a 2 times a 2. Right? Well, they already have a buddy. So out front, I have 4 square roots of what's left underneath, 4. But that's a perfect square. What's the square root of 4? 2. So really I have 4 times 2 out front, which is 8. So this is, do you remember the trick? If I multiply a radical by itself, I just have the radical, the number underneath the radical. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just equal to 2. Right? The square roots cancel each other out. Okay, so now we're going to review solving equations. Okay? So number 1, 2 times 3x minus 4 equals negative 5 times x plus 3. I have parentheses, so I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to get 6x minus 8 equals negative 5x minus 15. I'm going to get all of my x's on the same side, so I'm going to move my negative 5x over. I'm going to do that by adding 5x. Now I have 11x minus 8 equals negative 15. I need to move this negative 8 over, so I do that by adding 8. So then I have 11x, so negative 15 plus 8 gets me a negative 7. Divide by 11. Negative 7 divided by 11 is not a whole number. I started out with whole numbers at the beginning, so I can choose how I put my answer. I don't want a decimal, so I'm going to do negative 7 over 11 as my final answer. Number 2, x plus 18, everything divided by 8 equals 2. Remember, if you have a denominator, get rid of that denominator. So I'm going to get rid of it by multiplying both sides by that 8. So then on the left, I'm just left with x plus 18 equals 2 times 8 is 16. Now this is a nice easy one. I just have to subtract 18 from both sides, and I get x equals negative 2. All right, number 3, I have x plus 3 over 7 equals 2x minus 12 over 6. So I have fraction equals fraction. Remember, this is called a proportion. Proportion, I cross multiply. So when I cross multiply, I'm going to do 6 times x plus 3 in parentheses. All of that equals 7 times, in parentheses, 2x minus 12. So then my first step is to distribute on both sides. So here I get 6x plus 18 when I distribute, equals, distribute the 7, I get 14x minus 84. I'm going to get all of my x's on the same side. So I'm going to subtract my 6x over. So I have 18 equals 8x minus 84. I'm going to add 84 to both sides. So 18 plus 84, I get 102 equals 8x. Finally, I'm going to divide by 8. That is not a nice whole number. So I look at the beginning. I didn't have anything besides whole numbers, so I can choose how I put my answer. I'm going to leave it as a fraction. I'm going to put my x on the other side, so I'm just going to flip this. X equals 102 over 8. But remember, if I leave it as a fraction, I have to have it in simplest form. These are not simplified because they both have something in common, so I could take a 2 out of both of them. So 2 goes in the top 51 times, the bottom 4. So my final answer, x equals 51/4. Right, so we have spent this week doing a quick review on solving equations and working with radicals. We will take our quiz over all of this tomorrow, and then we can finally start the geometry lessons.